Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Ann O'Brien, and I'm hosting this episode of Beyond the Script, Brighter Together. And I have to say, I'm thrilled to have been asked to host this episode because it's our very first one since the acquisition of Magellan RX that closed in December. And we're thrilled to share a little bit more with you about how bringing Prime and Magellan together is brighter together. So, with that, let me introduce my guests today. First, we have Dave Schlett, who is the EVP and president of PBM Solutions. It's good to see you, Dave.
Nice to be with you again, Ann.
Thank you. And we also have Mustafa Kamal, who is the CEO of Magellan RX and EVP at Prime Therapeutics. Thanks so much, Mustafa, for joining us.
Great to be with you both.
Nice to finally meet you virtually, I should say. Um, Throughout this past year, since we've announced our intent to acquire Magellan RX, we fielded a lot of questions from our partners in the market, and I want to continue that conversation today. So, as you have questions, please feel free to enter those into the chat, and I'll do my best to make sure that we address those before our conversation ends today. But before we get rolling, let's first pass this over to Dave and Mustafa to take the floor. Dave, you're a veteran on the this episode. We've hosted the very first one of Beyond the Script together, so I really appreciate you coming back for round two. But for our viewers that didn't have the chance to meet you, can you share a little bit about yourself and your background?
I'd be glad to. I have about 30 years of industry experience, 23 with Medco, and then subsequent to that, ESI. I joined Prime in 2020, and as Ann mentioned, I currently lead the PBM Solutions business unit, which is the combination of the legacy Prime PBM side as well as the Magellan PBM side. Um, One of the reasons why I came to Prime, there's actually four, is culture. I believe it's really important, not only internal, but how we take that culture to market and we become trusted advisors. And I think both legacy companies have a great reputation in the market. The next item is really the business model, which is a transparent, and you've heard me, for those who listened on the first episode, talk about transparency, but we're agnostic from a channel standpoint, which means that we're going to make the decisions that best provide the outcomes for our members from an affordability and outcomes basis. And then at the other critical item, and we need to leverage it a little bit further as we go forward, is data. Prime and now with the Magellan data, is significant. So we're able to leverage that in unique ways to build products, intervene with members. So the data asset was the other item that really attracted me to Prime.
Thanks, Dave. Very insightful. And Mustafa, this is your first time. Welcome to Beyond the Script. If you don't mind, can you share a little bit about yourself and some of your background?
Thanks, Ann. Great to be here. Super excited to join you on Beyond the Script. For those of you who don't know me, I was in the industry for about just over 15 years now, and I started my career actually economics background. Started completely outside of the PBM world, and my first foray into PBM was at Medco, and that's where I met Dave. So Dave and I have known each other for a very long time, and I have huge respect for Dave. He's a world-class expert in this space, and he also happens to be a very wonderful human being too. For those of you who know him, but it's been an interesting. So I spent the first part of my career in pricing, underwriting, analytics, risk management. Started in Part D, expanded to other parts of other lines of business, and then I joined Magellan, and I've been the CEO at Magellan RX for about 8 years now, and it's been a very interesting journey. Starting the organization from really a specialty first focus. So our view of the world was that specialty is growing double digits. It's going to be a significant portion of spend that ultimately will define the success of the pharmacy benefit program. And we're there. Last year for industry wide, 50 cents of every dollar was spent on specialty. And our orientation was build a PBM that it has a specialty first focus. And that's what we'd been up to over the last 8 years, and had a tremendous amount of success and opportunity to define the organization as a leader in that space. We're also world class in government programs, particularly Medicaid, fee for service. We're market leaders in that space. And now that we've come together with Prime, we're really excited about what the future holds, because the businesses come together really nicely. So, really great to be here with you. And Ann, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention today's St. Patrick's Day, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. The reason that's important to me is that some of you have heard the story before, but both of my parents are immigrants that came from Alexandria, Egypt, and my name is Mustafa, as you know. I was born on March 18th, so my birthday's tomorrow. But my mom said, had I been born on March 17th, she very seriously was going to name me Patrick. Can you imagine that?
Oh, well, Mustafa, happy birthday tomorrow. And I'm glad that you're Mustafa and not Patrick. But in all due seriousness, congratulations on all the success that you've had in your career. And we're thrilled to have you as a leader on the Prime team. I speak on behalf of all of us here at Prime, welcome. Uh,
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
and I do want to say one thing. Mustafa referenced uh, our days back from Medco. We actually have deeper roots than that. We didn't attend at the same time. We actually go back to the same university as well. So
oh,
some of
That's
wow.
those
true.
roots really go back a long way. And we're also professional football fans of the same team too. So there's a lot of
That's true.
commonality that didn't
Yeah,
drive the
and
deal. That didn't drive the deal, but it certainly provides a lot of compatibility.
I'm sure it a little bit. And the fact that we're both Rutgers alum means that we've suffered a lot as fans of a team.
I didn't want to say that after the NIT debacle earlier this week. So some things I want to keep
Yeah.
hidden, but I give you kudos for bringing that up.
Well, on the heels of that, if we go back, and we're talking about partnerships and how long you guys have known each other. If we go back, Dave, the first episode of Beyond the Script, I'd mentioned, in consultant relations, when our leaders are making these bold decisions, I'm getting phone calls, of the congratulations or the what are you thinking, right? And so as this partnership transpired, my phone was ringing with congratulations. This is a bold move. This is a great move. And I was just elated to see how the market reacted. But I'm very curious from where you guys sit in your lens, what do you guys see as the advantage, not to just the industry as a whole, but to the clients and members that we serve by this combined partnership of Prime and Magellan RX? Dave, do you want to start? Take that first.
Yeah, I'm going to build off exactly what Mustafa had said and tie it back to why I came to Prime, right? Um, Prime has always been differentiated in the market, as I mentioned, the different business model, as well as the fact that they were managing the member across the traditional pharmacy and the medical side. We certainly had a gap in that, and obviously, when you look at Magellan and their success in medical specialty, they're an industry leader, as Magellan Mustafa just articulated. So folding them in really completes our offering. And of course, we have to demonstrate that through our performance, but it really is a natural fit. And so, very complementary, very consistent with what Mustafa said. We're anxious to bring this to the market. You've probably heard that this also expands our markets in the PBM side. We're going to compete in not just the health plan space, but the direct market, which is consistent with what Magellan had been doing in both the national and the mid market. And at the end of the day, that expansion of our markets will deliver better efficiency, better outcomes for members, and really enable our growth, because growth is really critical for us, and that'll keep us operating internally as well as extracting value from the supply chain to deliver that value to our members, providers, and payers.
Thank you, Dave. Mustafa, your thoughts on the advantages?
As I reflect on the capabilities that these two organizations bring, I think one of the things that is very striking about the combination is how complementary it is, and I mean that in every sense of the world, in every sense of the word. Where Magellan is really strong and has a lot of strong capabilities, Prime has opportunities. Where Magellan has a lot of opportunities, areas where we're not so strong, Prime is world class. And it's almost true for every single component as you think about the value chain. So it's rare to have a situation where two organizations come together in a way that really complete one another. And that's, having been through a lot of deals, and Dave has done a lot of deals as well. This, out of any deal that I've ever been a part of, is the most complementary combination. And what does that practically mean for our customers and our clients and our prospects? It means that we're able to bring solutions to bear that are market leading, world class, and industrial strength, both on the pharmacy benefit and the medical benefit across all lines of business in ways that the companies individually were not able to do before. So that opens up the opportunity for a significant amount of growth for us going forward. Our objectives are around affordability, member centricity, and member experience, and ensuring that we think about the overall well-being, total cost of care, and how pharmacy impacts that. When I first started in this business, pharmacy was 8% of every premium dollar. 8 cents of every premium dollar was spent on pharmacy. Today, it's north of a third, and it'll continue to grow. So pharmacies actually become a very significant component of total spend. I think that's important. And lastly, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that there's a lot of pressure on the industry at large, the PBM industry at large, whether it's around transparency or the proliferation of consumer driven plan designs that have created issues where the legacy model is not compatible with what the market's looking for. So this is our moment in time to deliver on what the market's asking for, and it couldn't be a more exciting opportunity for the combined organization to meet the moment.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with you, Mustafa. This is an exciting opportunity. I mean, this is bringing the brightest pharmacy minds together to transform industry. I mean, it just doesn't get any better. And so thank you for your comments. I'm going to ask one more question before we turn over to the audience for their questions. So great questions coming in. I see them. Please keep them coming. We're integrating two companies, and that's not an easy feat. So we're about 3 months in now, and I'm just curious from both of you, how do you see that this is going? What's energizing you the most about this partnership? Mustafa, I'm going to start off with you, if that's okay this time.
Integrations are never easy. And again, for those of you who've been through them, it represents change. And so, in generally speaking, when there's a lot of change, there's anxiety. When there's anxiety, people just want more information about what's going on and how it affects them. Again, this is very unique in terms of the experiences that I've had over the course of my career, in that there is so much opportunity. In fact, it's part of the challenge that we have is that we have so many opportunities to tackle together, and so many doors that have been opened up by this acquisition, that we actually need to prioritize, what we want to go after and where we can make the biggest impact. But I'll tell you that I think that this integration has gone exceptionally well. It's better than any integration that I've seen over the course of my career for that reason. Also, the organizations are very aligned around doing the right thing, with that being our North Star, doing what's right for patients, honoring our commitments to our clients and our customers. And that's extremely aligned across both Magellan and Prime. And that's something that the teams have been able to bond around, in addition to this growth opportunity, and our chance to really meet the moment. So overall, for our employees, it's largely enthusiasm about the future and this opportunity for everyone to continue to grow and develop and learn and tackle pharmacy's largest challenges. It's been very, very positive from my perspective.
Thanks. And from my seat, the talent pool is just overwhelming. I mean, the talent across both organizations is just it's resounding. I've never seen anything like it. Dave, your
Yeah.
thoughts on the implementation or the
I think
integration of the two companies?
no, to add just a couple things and probably restate what Mustafa said as well. I think it's going very well, and it goes beyond Mustafa and my legacy together, so to speak. But when we were considering the purchase, our leadership teams got together in New York, and it's really critical that you have the right culture. And during that meeting, it just reaffirmed that we were picking the right partner. And of course, that leadership cascades that message all the way through the organization. So it was a natural fit. And then to Mustafa's point, where we had opportunities, they're strong in, and where they had opportunities, we were strong in. So it allows us to put the pieces together pretty well in a quick period of time, such that we could turn our sights from just internal to serving the market. In fact, Mustafa and I were at PCMA, and you probably, for those in pharma, had seen us there. Ann and I and several folks are out in the market with consultants. We're pushing on providers. So we've been able, because of the alignment internally, as well as the alignment in mission, we're able to turn our focus more quickly than I've seen in the past towards the market and delivering value. And as Mustafa said, affordability, we call it the quadruple aim, which is affordability for the member, best outcomes, best experience. And you will be seeing us engaging more closely with providers. That's the next step for us to take.
Exciting times, and thank you both for sharing. I do want to get to some of the questions that we have coming in, but if you all can just indulge me for about 45 seconds. Prime has put together just a very brief video that we think showcases the Brighter Together message, and we'd like to share that with you. So if we could please cue up the video. Thank you, and welcome back, everyone. So I'm going to dive right into the questions. And I just want to remind you, gentlemen, that our audience is pretty diverse. We've got employees and clients and members. And so as you're addressing these questions, just keep that in mind. Our first question, I'm just going to read off my computer because they're popping up from the audience. The first question, Mustafa, you touched upon this briefly, but it says, how how are the employees from both organizations responding to the change? Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, I think it's been largely very positive in that the opportunities are significant. The growth, the opportunity for our employees to continue to develop their skills, expand, spread their wings, expand the products and services across a broader portfolio through a national platform. I think that's been really positive on both sides, both on the Prime side and the Magellan side. Of course, there are always going to be some changes, whether it's new login systems, benefits, different processes and procedures, and all those things are change that people, whenever you do these deals, have to get accustomed to. But I must say that the organization has done a phenomenal job communicating, stepping individuals through those changes. And so, really, the every conversation I've had with employees from both sides has been about the future, looking forward, and the enthusiasm about what's ahead of us. And quite frankly, how are we going to approach the market, in terms of priorities? Because there are so many things that we can do, and we want to ensure we do things in a way that we have the largest impact. And the last thing I think is really important to point out is that And I've worked at publicly traded companies my whole life, and Dave has as well. And that, when you're a publicly traded company, it adds a dynamic where you absolutely have to think about the long term, but you have to balance that with short term commitments to your investors, particularly quarterly earnings. I think one of the very refreshing things about Prime is that we are a long term oriented company, and our investors and our board is very supportive of a long term orientation. That enables us to think about the way things should be and build towards that without having to overly concern ourselves with quarter to quarter results. And that, I think, is a absolutely unique attribute of this organization that unleashes the potential of our employee base in ways that are just not available at other organizations. I think that's another very, very unique and important component here.
I
Yeah, and
appreciate
just
you calling that out. Dave, do you have anything to add?
yeah, add a little bit to that. I think that last point that Mustafa made was lack of conflict. Again, both Mustafa and I have had most of our careers in publicly traded companies, and taking that potential conflict of steering volume to certain pharmacies and alike, and just making the best decision for the member and the payer, around that quadruple aim is really critical. I know from the Prime side, Prime has historically been, through the blues, but as we've mentioned here today, we're expanding our markets, and there's an excitement about that. And so it's not always that medical pharmacy kind of is pulled along by medical. Is there a different approach that pharmacy leads? We still have a mind's eye on integration from a serving the member across his or her pharmacy benefit as well as the medical benefit. It's how we go to market. So there's a lot of excitement in the Prime legacy side on the fact that we're expanding our market. And of course, the capabilities that Magellan brings to bear also really completes our story and how we compete in the market.
Thanks, Dave. These questions are coming in fast and furious, and I know we're actually over time a little bit, but there was one here that kind of jumps out at me. It's about the press release once we it said that we had made the acquisition, and it said the company will explore new branding opportunities. What does this mean, and where is that? And Dave, I don't know if you might want to take that first, and then we can move to Mustafa.
The Yeah, when we're out in the market and we're talking to, and as you know, consultants and PCMA, we certainly have two logos out there, right? If that's your
Yeah.
question, we have a Magellan logo and a Prime logo. We're certainly one team. So I would ask everyone to put that aside. Every time you see Prime, you see Magellan. Every time you hear Magellan, you see Prime. We're one company, and it's really critical that the market understands that we have that singular mission. I think Mustafa and I have probably said that at least a half a dozen times on this call, that we have a singular mission. And so we're showing up together because we're one team, especially on the PBM side. As I mentioned, both legacy organizations on the PBM roll up to me. We work very closely with Mustafa's specialty, medical pharmacy, as well as the specialty dispensing. Those go hand in glove to everything we do in the market across all, whether it's a health plan or a TPA broker or an employer account in the national markets.
Thank you, Dave. Mustafa, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just add that logos mean different things to different people, and Magellan operated in certain parts of the market and has a reputation there. Prime operated in certain parts of the market and had a reputation there, and so there's a lot of power in having both logos on the page to
Yeah.
demonstrate exactly what Dave said, that we're now one organization. So I just encourage everyone to look at it as two logos, one company, and combined capabilities versus two separate companies. And we've organized and we're operating that way. And I'd also add that as we move forward, we're exploring ways in which to tell that story, to exploring a brand and a mechanism to tell that combined company story in a way that moves us forward. But for the foreseeable future, you'll be seeing the two logos. Just remember, it's one company.
Thank you, Mustafa. We are past our time. I want to thank you both so much for allowing me to host you and for being so candid with your responses. This was absolutely wonderful. Mustafa, I'm reading the questions that are popping up, and you have a million happy birthday wishes.
Oh, thank you.
So
I guess
happy
I brought
birthday
them
from our audience.
up. Thank you.
And,
Thank you
and
very
I
much,
just
everyone.
want to thank our audience for joining us today on Beyond the Script, and alert you to stay tuned on LinkedIn, because that is where we post our upcoming events. And this will be recorded. Today's event will be recorded, and you can find us on YouTube. So with that, everyone, stay safe and be well. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And Mustafa, happy birthday tomorrow. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Ann. Great job.